Following a rebirth, the passions for a revolution get taken over by mediocrity.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for the latest episode of Chronicles in Collecting, where we're going to take a look at the RX-93 new Gundam, as well as the new Gundam full expansion set, do a little bit of a primer on Char's Counterattack, and a discussion of funnels, which is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while because I have a lot of figures to unbox that have to do with those. So let's just get right into it. This is the kind of continuation of the Gundam Primer series, so if you've not already, I'd recommend that you watch the primer on Mobile Suit Gundam, Stardust Memory, Zeta Gundam, and Double Zeta Gundam. I'm really not going to repeat what I talked about in those videos, but kind of briefly kind of fill you in. This won't be spoiler heavy. It won't be anything that you probably wouldn't get from just like, say, watching the trailer of Char's Counterattack, but there could be some spoilers for some of the older shows. I'm going to avoid them as much as possible, but to kind of bring you to where you are now, there is a little explanation that might be required. So when we last kind of left off the main Mobile Suit Gundam timeline, it was Universal Century 88 and Double Zeta Gundam had taken place. So we picked back up 5 years later in Universal Century 93, where Char has kind of returned to the center stage of the Earth sphere. He is now leading a movement called Neo-Zeon. Well, we've already seen Neo-Zeon, but now he is leading Neo-Zeon, and he is reaching very deep into the Zeon playbook and is doing a attack that's never ever been done before, even considered. He's going to drop a colony on the Earth, which I'm sure if you're watching Gundam, you could never even fathom that someone would do such a thing. Unfortunately for Char, there are a few people who do not want to see him do this, notably Bright Noah, who is the captain of a new Earth Federation unit called Londo Bell, which has an ace pilot named Amuro Ray, who Char and Bright Noah have a little bit of a history with. Both Amuro and Char have fancy new Gundams to fight, and they will have a epic battle, perhaps their last epic battle. You'll have to watch the show to find out. A big part of the movie is that both Amuro and Char have these new Gundams, and these new Gundams, well, Char technically doesn't have a Gundam. Amuro has a Gundam. Char has a new mobile suit called the Sazabi, which I don't have a figure of yet, but hopefully we'll do in another video. Not going to focus too much on that one. But kind of importantly is that both of them have mobile suits that will let them use sort of the ultimate expression of their new type powers to allow for this confrontation. And I guess kind of importantly in the movie is that Char makes sure that the technology, like kind of the newest mobile suit technology, gets leaked to the producers of Amuro's Gundam so that they have kind of a fair fight, and ideally one winner will come forth. So Amuro is given the RX-93 new Gundam, and I think what's sort of notable about this Gundam is that it, a lot of things are notable about this Gundam. As I kind of mentioned in another video, one of the unpacking videos where we unpack this guy from a big shipment that I got, the RX-93 new Gundam is probably, it might be the kind of most iconic Gundam. It has these things over here, oh, you can't see it, these things over here which are called funnels. And I think that it's a very iconic weapon and a very iconic suit. The RX-93 Gundam is important sort of in universe. I believe it is the first Gundam that Amuro pilots that has a Psychoframe within it. And basically what that is it's this material that's discovered, that allows sort of a new type to take advantage of their abilities and sort of helps that I think it's technically like a man-to-machine interface where it's able to take these kind of waves that the new type produce, and they're able to kind of use them to control their machine, and sort of specifically to control a weapon called a funnel. So we actually first see funnels in the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Well, actually we see bits. So why don't we get into that a little bit? Okay, so what effectively these things are is they're little remote controlled like drone things that the pilots have that they can kind of send out and use to remotely attack things. Can only be used by new types, both because they have sort of heightened spatial awareness that kind of allows them to control all these various, like I said, kind of drones while they're in the middle of battling with a mobile suit, and also only they can kind of generate these waves. Kind of in various parts of the series, they work at making artificial new types that could do this, but we don't need to get into that sort of right now. So that leaves us with sort of funnels and bits. So basically the difference between funnels and bits is that bits have their own power source and funnels do not. Bits, like I said, I think kind of made their appearance in Mobile Suit Gundam, and then funnels sort of come later, and you could see that they're funnels because they're sort of shaped like funnels. Now these on the new Gundam are called fin funnels, but they're not actually funnels, they're actually bits, but funnels, fin funnels sounds cool. I don't know why they actually did it. Maybe it was retconned or changed later or something, but suffice to say, new Gundam has the fin funnels, they're actually bits, but really what they are is they're these kind of remote control devices that they could use for attack. Anyway, with all that being said, why don't we just get into opening up this figure? Oh yeah, there's a few other things that I did want to mention. Char's Counterattack came out in 1988. Movie I would highly recommend everybody watch. It's on Netflix streaming. I got a copy of the 4K Blu-ray. I want to watch that and maybe throw up a review for Chronicles and Critiquing to kind of continue that series. And I did want to mention just about these two figures. So this figure came out in March of 2013. It retailed for 4,500 yen, which is about 40 bucks. I was able to pick it up for 4,480 yen, so basically the same price. And the expansion set came out in 2012 for 3,150 yen, which is about 30 bucks, and I paid 2,780 yen, about 25 bucks. You might ask why the option set came out after the figure set. The reason is that this is actually the second new Gundam figure. There was a regular version, and then there's sort of the Psychom activated version, which has like this kind of glow about it. Basically, the Psychoframe is built within the frame of the Gundam, so it kind of glows when you're using a lot of these waves, or sometimes it interacts with another Gundam that has a Psychoframe or another new type or something like that. I kind of figured it's been a while since these have come out, and the new Gundam is definitely a very iconic Gundam. I'm expecting it'll probably get a more premium release, either as part of the Metal Robot Spirits or the version Ka, so I didn't want to buy that and kind of get burned on it. But I figured if I get the Psychom, kind of glowing version, they probably won't remake that one, so I'll have two different things to put on my shelf. And this figure that I got, part of the reason I was able to get it cheap, it was like a damaged box, but as you can see, the box is pretty much brand new shape. I think that if you were gonna keep it perfect in box, then maybe there might be one or two minor imperfections here that you would not consider new, but since I'm gonna open it up anyway, it does not really matter to me, and it's a good opportunity to get some older figures definitely on the cheap. It's also kind of funny because there's no way that a figure that has this many kind of, well, the number one looks this nice and it has this many weapons and is of this iconic of a Gundam would ever be like $35 today. It'd probably be $135 today. This would be like another $150 or something like that. We'd probably be talking about $200-300 instead of a $60-70 purchase. So it is nice to buy some of the older robot spirits before, I guess, the line got popular or before prices went up or demand went up or something, and you can get some really good prices. So take a quick look at this. So as you could, this might be the oldest figure I've opened up in general, actually. Almost 2013, so that's what, 8 years old? I think there's another piece of tape on here. Yep, that is, actually there's 2 pieces of tape on here. All right, a lot of tape on these old ones. 4 pieces of tape on every side. A piece of tape on every side. Okay. Oh, wow, that was a lot easier. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Oops. like I said, a lot of stuff in this figure, and the detailing is really nice. I mean, like I said, this is like a $35 figure. I mean, even with inflation, was that $45 or something like that? I mean, just check it out. The detailing is really cool. The Psychom effect is kind of this really nice teal. I'll throw it on the rotating stand in a second. But yeah, just a really, overall, really nice figure. Here's another, here's like a shield. And again, as I've mentioned in other videos, I love it when the markings on the equipment sort of match the figure. And here we have both the color and the markings, so it's not just, you know, a generic shield. We got some beam sabers. Got this like, you can't see the beam sabers, but you know what they look like. They're just beam sabers. Got this like bazooka, which is cool. And then of course the reason that everybody wants this, which is the funnels. And this guy actually comes with 6 funnels, which is pretty nice. And I think also what's particularly nice is that the funnels move like they do in the show. You could do, you know, they're like this when they're kind of docked onto his back, and then they kind of go into this when they're in their attack mode. And you get 6 of them. And on top of that, you actually get a whole bunch of kind of stand parts for displaying the funnels. So yeah, all in all, I mean, I'm really impressed with. I would be impressed with this figure if it was, you know, if it was like $100. So I'm really impressed. It retailed for 35 bucks. No, 40 bucks, and I paid about that much. Put this guy on the floating stand while we get into the expansion set. So the expansion set, so there's kind of like, it's not in the movie, but there's like a full funnel effect version of the new Gundam, and you know, normally he just has the funnels on one side. Obviously, if you had 12 funnels, it'd be twice as cool, because then you got 12 funnels, and you kind of have these like wings, almost a little bit like Wing Zero, but with funnel wings, which would actually be a really cool figure as well. So you could buy the expansion set, and in addition to that, it has some more effect parts, so you could do some cool poses. The funnels are used in Char's Counterattack kind of both offensively and defensively by Amuro. So he uses them to kind of like create this like funnel beam shield thing, which is really cool. So that's another one of the kind of effect parts that comes in this option parts set. This box to the side there. So again, you could see here, you know, I mean, compare it to like what we saw in like the wing effect parts that we saw with the Destiny Gundam. You know, those were like what, 120 bucks or something like that. And obviously you don't have these big wings, but you have a lot of kind of similar effects parts. So yeah, I think this is, you know, if you know, we'll continue to do posing, and I'll do some final thoughts on the figure. But I think this is something that if you can get it for around retail, or honestly even double retail, I would go for it. It's also really cool that I was able to get something that's like basically brand new. That's you know, just such an old figure. As far as I could tell, this has not been opened, and if it was opened by a wizard who was able to completely repack this to make it look like it's never been touched. So good for them. And let's see. So what else is included in this? So like I said, there's an additional 6 funnels. So if you have the base figure, you have 12 total funnels. And you really never have too many funnels. Not gonna lie. Looks like you got another, let's see what else we got here. So you got another shield. You can kind of see here that this shield's not as nice as the one that comes with it. Don't think I'll be using that. You got these funnel kind of beams. I think these are for the kind of beam shield to put on the corners to kind of show where the funnel's actually doing things. And then you got these guys over here. Let me get this open real quickly. And these are basically an effect to kind of show the funnel being used offensively. And I'll take a look at it, but basically the idea is you kind of put them in these funnels like this, oops, like that, and it's kind of supposed to be showing like the energy that's going in between them. As far as I can tell, let's see, So these funnels do not exactly match the ones that come with the Psychom glowing version. As you can see, the ones that come with the figure are a little lighter shade of yellow, and the ones that come with the effects are a little bit of a darker shade of yellow. I think that with some clever posing, which is not really my forte, you could probably hide that fact. You know, again, like I said, this is technically the effects parts for the regular version, so it's not, you know, that unreasonable that they wouldn't match. I don't know what this is. I think this is just, I don't know what this is. I'll have to look that up. If you're smarter than me, you can figure that out. Not much of a challenge to be smarter than me. It also has another little effect part holding like a cockpit. I don't want to get too much into details of what that is, but at one point Amuro does kind of grab someone in a cockpit. So this is kind of being able to recreate that scene. And actually, funny enough, the Psychom version comes with that same piece. It originated, so they put it in both. You know, it's fine. And then it also just comes with a stand, pretty basic stand, looks very similar to the Tamashii Axe stands that I've been using. And also has sort of a little bit more heavy-duty connecting pieces to support all the funnels. And then last but not least, actually last but the best, you have, I'm assuming what is in here is the actual piece that sort of serves as the funnel shield. I want to make sure that I don't cut it. I think that should be enough to get it open. Yeah, okay, so this is, like I said, the kind of defensive shield. This is gonna fold. Let me see here. Open this up. And again, it's so cool that this is brand new, like, and that it was only $30. Like, oh man, I'm really having a good time with this. You know, completely kind of reliving the entire Robot Spirits line that I only just got into this year, but has, you know, almost a decade's worth. So I think that, oh god. So yeah, I think the idea is you basically have this, you could form it into like a shape, you put the funnels on the end, and use those effect parts to kind of give it some more emphasis, and then you kind of have this whole cool like funnel shield. So I'm gonna pause the video for a few minutes. I'm gonna set this guy up, put him in a pose. I think I'll do both an offensive and a defensive pose for the funnels, and maybe that's how I could differentiate between the orange and yellow ones. I'll be back in a minute with those poses and some final thoughts. And we are back. So this guy took quite a while to pose, but it was definitely worth it. Super happy with the way that this kind of wound up and with all the different accessories. I'll put this guy on the rotating stand here. Got his buddies here just for those who might need a refresher. RX-78 Gundam from the original Gundam. We have the RX-178 Mark II from Zeta Gundam. We have the double Zeta Gundam. And then we have the new Gundam, RX-93. I still don't have my Zeta Gundam yet. We'll get to it as soon as it gets to the mail. So as you can see, lots of cool poses, lots of good weapons you could do with this guy. I normally try to do a more action-oriented pose, but for him, I just love that pose of him standing there with the funnels right there. He like really exudes this like confidence, kind of like bring it on. You know, I guess if I had 12 funnels, I would also be like incredibly confident as well, maybe. Also have the funnel shield. I said I was going to mention the sort of defensive. Let me. Oh boy. Okay, that's not stopping. Kind of mentioned the defensive aspect of the funnels here. Oh, let me take two hands and do this. So anyway, like I said, you got the funnel pack over there. Have the kind of like funnel little like umbrella thing over here. And that goes like right over there like that. This guy was kind of annoying to set up, but I think it was worth it at the end. It's kind of made of this sort of like plastic-y kind of stuff. I wish that it was just sort of maybe like, I'll try to get over there. It's kind of too big for the frame here. But I kind of just wish it was like 4 just solid pieces that sort of clicked into place. You had to kind of like bend it at the right angle and get the clip in and stuff, but it still looks awesome. I'm kind of amazed that everything's sort of staying on there. Got the funnels here with the effects, and the funnels move back and forth. I wound up with 1 extra funnel, so I just put it on an angle here, like attacking. I don't like to let any funnels go to waste. I'm gonna use all 12 of them, and fortunately, you can't see this last one that's orange because its back is to me. A few other little things that I wanted to mention about this figure before I kind of give my final thoughts here. I had mentioned these pieces. Oops. This thing is, it's just sort of annoying. Not really a good place to put it down. I had sort of mentioned these things over here that I wasn't sure what they're for. This is kind of like a shoulder-mounted way to do the funnels. If you don't want to do it like this, with the 12 funnels, you do 6 on this side and then 6 on the other. If you wanted to fold them, you could put 3 on the bottom here. They'd be folded, and you wouldn't kind of get this cool layered effect that these funnels have. That I think is sort of one of the hallmarks of the new Gundam. You know, obviously, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. There's a lot of this effect part over here, where you can kind of have the funnel attacking. I think that between the 2 kits, there's 1, 2, 3. I think there's 6 of those. I decided not to do that pose because I have a different figure coming that I'm going to be using that for. Metal Robot Spirits High New Gundam. So I don't want to kind of spoil that pose right now. I'm just trying to think if I have any other final thoughts. Oh, and oh boy. Man down. One other thing that I thought was cool is that attached to this gauntlet over here, actually there's a beam saber hidden inside of it that you could take out and use one of the beam effects. You could also store another beam effect right here on the back. There's a bazooka here that you could store on the back, and you could also store his kind of beam rifle on the back there. So I'd say all in all, this figure is awesome. Definitely my favorite of kind of like the regular Robot Spirits, and I think it doesn't quite have the same nice finish that the version Cobb ones have, and it doesn't have all quite the same detailing, but as far as like features, weapons, you know, just all these little details, like I said, with, you know, the hidden beam sabers and being able to layer the funnels and stuff like that. I mean, that's something I would expect from a figure that's a lot more expensive. So like I said, at the original retail price of $40, that's a no-brainer. Like I said, I was able to, if you go, you know, I think if you went on US eBay, it'd probably be harder to find for $40, but maybe if you search some of the Japanese sites that do, you know, used items, and even if you, like I said, you get a damaged box one or something, you know, $40, $50 I think is a sweet deal. The funnel effects, you know, they're definitely unnecessary, but, you know, unnecessary in a, like, I don't know where I'm going to put this sort of way, but still awesome. And I mean, you get double as many funnels. Why would you not? Why would you have? I mean, 12 funnels is just objectively better than 6, clearly. So yeah, so that's the new Gundam. Thanks again for checking out this video. New episodes go up every Wednesday, and please join me for the next episode where we're going to check out a new line and a US-based figure. We have the Mondo Deluxe exclusive Batman the Animated Series.